Well, you all know him. He's former NBA star, former Boston Celtics player, Enes Kanter Freedom. He's now accusing the NBA of blacklisting him for speaking out on geopolitical issues. Out of the league for 2 years, he, of course, has been outspoken in condemning human rights violations in both China and Turkey. And now, folks, he's speaking out on transgender athletes taking spaces in women's sports. Check out his tweet here. Since I'm being blackballed from the NBA, should I put on a wig, identify as a woman, and start dominating the WNBA? Is that when the outrage will begin? Is that fair to all the women who spent their whole life chasing their goals? Where are all the women's rights activists and feminists? And joining us now, sans wig, however, NBA star, human rights activist Enes Kanter Freedom. Great to have you in today, Enes.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's great to have you. I was a Boston Celtics longtime fan. It's my hometown, so Larry Bird days and all that, you know, obviously so much history in that franchise. But people know you as being outspoken, not afraid to speak your mind. Transgender inclusion in women's sports, what made you say this is a topic, a subject I want to jump into now and make my voice heard, Enes?
You know, no male athlete ever spoken about these issues before. And I remember having this conversation with my teammates in a locker room, and of course, everybody was against this. Man, I mean, it just makes sense. You know, men do not belong in women's spaces, you know, restrooms, locker rooms, and sports. So I remember having this conversation with my teammates in a locker room. I asked them, like, hey, what do you guys think about, you know, this biological male is competing in women's sports? And obviously everybody was against it, but I was like, well, you guys haven't said anything about it. They said, well, because we don't want to get canceled. And at that point, I was like, I just cannot believe it. I was like, started to research and started to educate myself. There's so much examples out there, like Riley Gaines and many other athletes. You know, these girls from when they were a kid, their dream to become the most successful athlete in their neighborhood, in their cities, in their state. And just think about me, a 7 foot, 270 pounds male, just comes out and identify as a woman.
I'm glad you brought up Riley, because we were going to ask you about that. I wanted to get your take. I mean, she has been so vocal, but also really in the target of, you know, radical activists. You know, she obviously had to share a title with Leah Thomas, biological male. She lost her first place. You know, as a competitor, that stinks. But she's gone out. She's spoken. She has been attacked by mobs in San Francisco, testifying in Congress, as we're showing her here now. I mean, she's really fearless in working against this. Have you thought about teaming up with her?
You know, I actually met her during last year's State of the Union, and she is a brilliant woman. She's very smart, very courageous. And yeah, for sure, I would love to team up with her, because, I mean, like you said, she is getting a lot of hate for what she's speaking out about, and what she's saying is 100% right. You know, no, it will be an amazing idea. Actually, thank you for bringing that up.
No problem. That's what we're here for. You said something in your first comments that really hit me, that a lot of your teammates felt the same way, but there's a fear of being canceled. You are someone who has never stepped away from saying things that may obviously come at a price to you. Tell us what you'd like people to know from what you have done, whether it be speaking about human rights violations or things that may be unpopular with culture, out of fear of being canceled. How do you give people the hope and the inspiration to go forward with their convictions?
You know, I will stand up for things, even if it means sacrificing everything I have. That actually the saying of my mother when I was a kid. She told me that whatever happens in life, you have to stand for truth. You know, even if it means sacrificing everything you have. So I'm just trying to live up by that code from my mom. So something like this, you know, about biological males not belonging in women's sports. It just, not only me, but a lot of NBA players actually believes in that, but they just don't want to go out there and say it because they know they're gonna get canceled. But what drives me crazy is where are all the women rights activists? Where is all the feminists? When it comes to this issue, they're silent. But
it's a great question. I've also heard, where are all the girl dads? Because there are men whose girls are going in. Hey, Enes, got to come back real soon. Maybe after you partner up with Riley, we'll have you guys both back here. But great shout out to your mom, too. She raised you right. And always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you so much.
Take good care. Thank you.